My name is Vipul and I have 11 years of IT experience. During my IT experience, I have worked on multiple tools. So I started my journey from the Informatica data migration tool and then I moved on to the SAP world. In that I worked on SAP Data Services, which is again a data migration tool which is specific to SAP. And then I worked on SAP HANA 2.0 on-premise as well as SAP HANA on cloud. And after that, I worked on SAP Analytics Cloud, which is a reporting tool available by SAP. And it has a lot of great features available to us. And then after working in those technologies, I moved on to the Snowflake Data Warehouse and also MySQL. Apart from that, I'm also associated with Data Vision as a trainer for MySQL and Snowflake Data Warehouse. So let's get started.
During the session, if you have any queries, any question, please don't hesitate to interrupt. Because I want you to take, I mean, it's not just about these free training sessions, it is about all the session which we have regarding the Snowflake Data Warehouse. I will be your instructor for Snowflake Data Warehouse and MySQL, and I feel very happy that you guys are giving us the opportunity to help you learn a new skills and technology. So it is our responsibility to make sure that you are learning the most. And one more thing which I really like is that as this course is going to be for 3 months, so it would be really great if we set up a goal for ourselves and make sure that after 3 months we all will have at least one job in hand. Okay, because right now you can see there are a lot of jobs which are coming up in the market, and that is why what we at Data Vision have done is that we have summed up multiple tools so that you just do not know about just Snowflake Data Warehouse, you also know about the DBT, which is also a very popular tool. Again, you also know about MySQL and AWS, so that it is not like you are constrained to applying for a job which is just for the Snowflake Data Warehouse, but also for multiple skill set. So you can go for a job which is asking for AWS with dbt, AWS with Snowflake Data Warehouse, Snowflake Data Warehouse, and MySQL. If you want to stay in that SQL zone, then it is there. So I would request you all to make the best of this opportunity we have and help us to give you the best knowledge, and so that we really can add a value to your profiles. Okay. So please don't hesitate if you have any question, if you have any concerns with the issue with the delivery method, delivery speed, or anything. So please let me know right away. Okay, you can either drop a message over here or you can just unmute yourself and tell. Okay. Okay. So now let us understand a few concepts of what was going on in the organizations previously. So what we had is that let us say you are working for a client, and then that client anyhow has different applications. Okay, because let us say it is not a small company and they have been operating for like last 10 20 years. Let us say this is a shipping company, or even you can talk about eBay. Okay, so those, they have developed some applications. We are not going to talk about the front end application, but some application which are going to write data into the database. Okay, so the application will have different components. It will be saving the customer data, it will be saving the sales data, finance data, the transactional data is anyhow, transactional data will also be there. And again, there could be regions specific data, because there will be regional managers and those manager. Okay, let us say there is a client, we are having a dummy client, let us say any customer or any client A. So this client A is dealing with the multiple applications or online business. So they have the customers data, they have sales data, they have finance data, transactional data, and region associated data. So a lot of data exists in their application. Okay, so now because it is data and it has to be saved somewhere, so let us say for each and every section they have generated a separate database. So let us say they are having different databases in which they are saving their specific data. Okay, this is some customer specific data. Let us say they are saving in SQL Server. They could be saving their sales data in the Oracle database. Finance data could be again in SQL Server. So you can get the idea, right? They are using different database technologies to save their data, and it could be on the same databases or it could be on the different databases as well. Okay, so now the customer is having a very good time. They were going very great for last 10 20 years, and these are actually called your legacy system. Okay, so legacy systems means that your customer has been using this for a very long time. So these databases will be having very huge data. It will be having, let's say, for last 10 to 15 years of data. Okay, and similarly what company used to do is that they will be using this same database to do their reporting. So they will be having some reporting tools. to do the reporting on top of this data. Okay. So this was happening very long back. Okay, this is not a recent story. So this reporting tool will be connecting to these different databases, and then they will be producing some reports on top of that so that they can take a decision. So now, after some time, maybe after a few years, they realize that using the reporting tool and different application, because the applications are also writing data to your SQL server, let us say in case of customer. So your application is writing data over here, it is reading data from here, it is updating data, as well as your reporting tool is also reading data from the same system. So they have realized that because multiple systems are accessing the same databases altogether, uh, it is not a good practice. Okay. So that is why in future companies came up with something called as data warehouse. Okay. So in data warehouse, what they usually do, they use to create a copy of this data from one place to from their databases into the data warehouses, so that they can do the load sharing. Now, if you want to edit the data, if you want to add the data, if you want to update the data, if you want to delete the data, all the data manipulation operations used to happen in the live systems, okay, which are their legacy systems. And then they used to copy this data into the data warehouse, and this data warehouse is then used to do the reporting. Okay, so that is how they added one more layer to their landscape. Now it was better because the data warehouses will be used only for reporting purposes, and your legacy system were there just for the data manipulation. And one more, and now the load of the data warehouse has been just to be read for a reporting tool. And one more good thing about adding this data warehousing tool is that there are different servers, different data is spread over different databases. Okay, your customer data is in one database, your sales data is in another database, finance data is somewhere else, transactional data and region data, all the data was spread over in the different database or maybe in the different regions as well. But when we introduced a data warehouse, we merged all the data of the company level, company-wide information, whether it is customer data, sales data, finance data, transactional data, or region data. All the data is brought together in one place, which is called data warehouse. And data warehouse is acting as a read-only layer. It can, I mean, it is better if it is a read-only layer because all the data is coming from the source and it is only used for the reporting purposes. So it is a, this is what the companies came up with a new architecture, you can say. So now there were a few more challenges of data integration, data manipulation, and do the data reporting because everything was on premise. So we need to understand there are two terminologies. One is on premise. Okay. So we will understand these concepts in detail when we will be doing the cloud concepts. But for now, the on-premise means that all the systems exist in the landscape of the client. So it is the client's responsibility to take care of all these servers, this application, and everything. They have to take care of everything. So they will have all the data centers, they will have to take care of maintenance, or they will have to take care of the management of servers, they will have to hire a team, and so on. Everything was on premise. Now, there was few companies just like AWS and Google. I mean, AWS was the pioneer. So AWS came and they said that you can leave the headache of maintaining your systems to us. Okay. So now that is from where we got something called as cloud concepts. Okay. So using clouds, the companies do not have to have actually maintain their servers, manage their servers, and maintain all the hardware capabilities. Whereas they could actually just use the hardware and pay for whatever they have used. Okay. Don't worry much about it if you're not getting this in much detail, because we have a dedicated session on on-premise on cloud concepts. But just if you can get a brief idea of why we are actually moving on to the cloud. So now we as a customer do not have to manage all these databases, all the data warehouse, all the hardware, all the different networking, whether it is virtualization, whether it is operating system management, or it is software management and migration. So we do not have to worry about anything. So now the hardware and software have been taken up from a different vendor altogether. If you look at the scenario scenario, you can remember like if you use Gmail, right? In Gmail, we just use the Gmail service. We do not have to worry about where the Gmail server is, where my mail is actually located in which location my email is, how it is being managed, how it is being stored, how it is being optimized, which language is used in the backend to provide these Gmail services. And I just can just focus on my task and I pay for whatever I use. Okay. Let us consider if you are considering any Gmail paid services, then you have to pay for that service and that is it, and you can focus on your work. Whereas on the other hand, if you talk about on premises, then all the server management, all these software management, all the maintenance, everything is your headache. Okay. So we will discuss it in later on again. I will repeat that, but this is how the direction in which companies wanted to go. So now companies realize that there is a lot of potential for the cloud systems because there was a lot of less headache and they can actually focus on their actual work. So that is where we started having different cloud concepts when we started migrating the data to the cloud. In the beginning, it was of course very difficult for companies to move to the cloud because they were using something for last, let us say, 10, 15 years, and it may take a good amount of time for them to actually realize the potential of cloud technologies and to move to the cloud technologies because there was a lot of uncertainties. They were saying, okay, it is based on internet. What if my internet is lost? What if my internet is very slow? So they had a lot of questions. And at the same time, AWS, GCP, and Azure also grew with time and providing more and more features to the user and making it more and more reliable. And now we already have got the success stories of various big companies who have successfully migrated from their on-premise to cloud scenarios. So the other companies are also building a lot of trust on the cloud technologies because the cloud technologies are very good in the cost concepts as well as in the operational concepts. So because the companies are saving a lot of time, they can now focus that time in building their own applications and making their processes better. Okay, so now one of the we have different cloud concepts. We will see we have different cloud concepts tomorrow. I mean tomorrow as in next session. We have platform as a service. Sorry, where first of all we have infrastructure as a service, we have platform as a service, and we have software as a service. So software as a service, if we focus only on software as a service, then the pre-packaged software is available for you to use. And one thing which we have to understand when we talk about cloud, whenever we talk about the cloud technology, so in the cloud, all we need is a browser and a good internet. Okay, that is all we need. Or I mean, I we should have a good system as well. We should have like good amount of RAM because these days the storage is also very cheap, so you can get a very good device at a very competitive rate as well. So this is all you need. So software as a service is actually a software which is provided to you and you can just use this service and you do not have to worry about what is going on in the backend. Just like we talked about Gmail, similarly, we have certain apps in our phone. Even if you talk about the KSR Data Vision app, so that app is also a software as a service because you do not have to, I mean, you just have to install the tool, which is just the UI, and then all the videos and everything, all the different features are available to you. You have a video on demand feature, you can have your discussions, you can also enroll for multiple courses and so on. So all these features are available to you. Similarly, the Gmail also comes under software as a service where you have to use the software and you focus on what you want to do without worrying about what is being going on in the backend. Okay. Similarly, if we talk about Snowflake Data Warehouse, so Snowflake Data Warehouse is also a software as a service offering. Again, if we talk about the similar concepts of Gmail, in the Snowflake Data Warehouse, you do not have to worry about how your system is being managed. You know where it is, but you don't know exactly which location it is. You know about the region, but you do not know where it is actually stored, how the data is being managed, how the data is being stored, how it is being, how the metadata is being stored, how it is being optimized. We do have a little control, but it is all the responsibility of Snowflake Data Warehouse to take care of all the different things. Okay. So we do not have to worry about, and we, as a data engineer or a data scientist or a data migration expert, should focus on our job of migrating the data rather than worrying about the other things which are not related to my skill set or which are not at all necessary. Okay. And with the promise of the cloud technologies, because cloud technologies have evolved a lot, so they are also giving a very great features, and the availability and reliability is also increasing with time. And similarly, as the hardware is also becoming very cheap, then they are also able to offer us the hardware as a relatively cheaper price. So we can also expect that the pricing of the hardware will also go down as more and more number of users will join the cloud technologies. Okay. Now, if we talk about Snowflake Data Warehouse, so the Snowflake Data Warehouse actually has a lot of tools, a lot of concepts. It is not just a warehouse, which I want to mention in the very beginning of the lectures. That Snowflake Data Warehouse is not just data warehouse. It has a lot of capabilities. Don't go just by its name. It has a lot of capabilities. But for now, for in the beginning of this session, just for the simplicity's sake, we will consider that okay, this is a data warehouse. But as soon as we will go ahead, move ahead on the future lectures, at that time we will learn what all it is capable of. Okay. So there is a lot of features because of which it is very famous. So Snowflake Data Warehouse is actually marketing them as well, a cloud-based data warehousing solution. Okay. So now, even if you go for the Snowpro certification, even they also assume that you know about the basic data warehousing concept, and whereas you also know about the cloud concepts. Okay. So this is something they expect. This is why we are also going to discuss the data warehousing concepts and the cloud concepts. Okay. Any questions till now? Is it all good? If anyone has any questions or any difficulty in understanding, or they want me to repeat, then I can provide the details. And don't worry about this. We will be discussing these IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and the cloud concepts in detail in the next section. Okay, so but just to give you an overview, I am just helping you with the idea of where we are going into, so that you can understand where the all picture fits together. Okay. Okay. So now, first of all, we want to understand the data warehousing concepts. So what is a data warehouse? As we have already seen, a data warehouse is a collection of data from multiple systems or multiple sources, which is brought together in one place so that we can do reporting on top of it. This is a very basic requirement of data warehousing. Okay. Although it looks simple, but it involves a lot of tools and technologies which have to work together in unison to provide the data in one place. So we have to have a data integration. We can also manipulate the data on top of data warehouse. We can also create different tables. We can create joins in the tables and so on. And finally, it will be readily available for the reporting. Okay, so integration with the reporting tool is also required because just saving the data in one place is not going to serve any purpose. So that is why we need to integrate with the reporting tool to have the entire system landscape. Okay. So now if we start about the data warehousing concepts, for that, let us consider what is the data warehouse. Okay. Yes, Ravi.
Yeah,
Yes, Ravi.
then what is the difference between ETL and a data warehouse? ETL also
ITL,
does collect the data from all the legacy systems
exactly.
and bring it there, and then it is used for reporting.
Yes, this is where it sits. So ETL is actually used to, it is just a data migration tool,
Hmm.
whereas ETL endpoint is your data warehouse. So use an ETL to load the data into your data warehouse.
Okay.
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 So
So
And
that
the
can I
data
add one
from
more?
legacy systems to data warehouse will be real time or
it depends on your requirement. It can be
acha.
real time, it
Okay.
can be batch load as well.
Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. Fine. I'm clear. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Urav or Praveen, please let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hi.
as
So,
per my knowledge, in ETL tools, we can just do the data migration activity Whereas the
Exactly.
Snowflake, we can do the data processing and we can come with the outcome. Is that correct?
Yes. So ETL tool are majorly focused on the data migration. So
Correct.
you cannot actually persist the data in your ETL tools. So your target for the data migration tools will be your some database or data warehouse solution.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
Vipul,
you.
just one more question. Have you
Hmm.
ever used the Grafana with Snowflake?
Which one?
Grafana?
Sorry, I'm not getting you.
Grafana.
No, Grafana. No, no, no.
You have not used it. Okay.
Grafana in where?
With the Snowflake.
No, no, no. That is actually some. I think I have used in. I have used
Grafana,
something similar.
Grafana, Grafana is a dashboard tool which gives you the
Okay.
outcomes as a, in the form of dashboard, which has
Uh-huh.
to be reported to the higher management. On the basis of that, higher
Hmm.
management can take the proper decision. So
Okay.
currently we are, fetching data from SQL and other databases,
Mm.
even from the Oracle, and then we are providing inputs to the Grafana, and then Grafana giving us the dashboard. So I just wanted to know whether there is a possibility with the feedback.
No, no,
Anyway,
no. Grafana I am not aware of because there are a lot of tools in
Vipul,
the market.
Grafana is basically a like Power BI is there, right? We have
I mean, yeah, that is reporting
reporting.
tool,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
I am not aware of its interface.
no problem.
So I know about the other BI tools. I know about SAP Analytics, although they have the similar concept. But yeah, specifically, I have not worked on the Grafana. Yes, Uro, sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, hi, Vipul. So I'm
Hi.
relatively new to this field, so the
Okay.
question might be silly.
No
So I have
issues.
heard about this OLTP and OLAP, right?
Hmm.
So where does that figure in this? So is this legacy systems, the OLTP systems, and the data warehouse, the
Here,
OLAP?
here you go.
Okay. So
Because, yes, yes.
yeah, so what I wanted to imagine, rather like visualize, was if there was no data warehouse, how did these OLTP systems work, and how did it in real time? So I understand that there will be a reporting tool that would be just fetching the data from the OLTP, but there definitely would be need of some transformation. So where would that take place? And
Transformations as in
um,
within
I-
the CTL
for
tool.
whatever report, yeah,
See, so over here, previously we didn't have the concept of OLTP or OLAP,
okay,
which we had already seen, that
mm-hmm,
we had only this OLTP system. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And at time we used to do the reporting on top of the same place over the same database.
right,
So it was a lot of problem. We didn't needed an ETL tool first of all in the legacy
mm-hmm,
systems because anyhow, if we do not want to migrate the data, why we need an ETL tool? What we used to do in the OLTP system, just in case if we want to manipulate the data, we could create stored procedures and function in that or that to
okay.
manipulate the data. And then
Mm-hmm.
again, those stored procedure used to create new columns or used to create new tables. And
Mm-hmm.
those tables were used by the reporting tool. Okay. So if you talk about SAP system, in the SAP
Mm-hmm.
system, first of all, we have the master tables. Okay. First of all, we have master tables, then we have transactional tables, and then we have pre-aggregated tables. This is how things used to be in the SAP. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-aggregated tables were also there. So these pre-aggregated tables were calculated using the stored procedure and functions, and these pre-aggregated tables were created for the reporting. So your reporting tool used to access data from these tables. So every day, first of all, your master table were loaded, and then transactional data was loaded, and based on your master data and transactional data, all these aggregation values were recalculated every day. So
So
it used to take a
essentially,
lot of time. Yes, yes,
yeah, so essentially the same database was logging the records.
everything.
And since we wanted to use that data and it cannot be used as is, so you
Mhm.
also transformed using some,
Exactly.
right? And those tables also used to be stored in the same
In the
database.
same database.
So the only difference is the data warehouse is just now a different entity which
Mhm.
runs the same things, right? So previously both the
Exactly.
things used to be in the same server. We
Huh,
just we just segregated it. I mean, that's the only
exactly.
difference
I
because
mean,
both are ultimate databases, right?
I mean, on the very high level, it is the same thing. Also, although data warehouse has a lot of different capabilities, but yes, if you
Mm.
look at a very high level, then yes,
Okay.
what we have done is that we have taken this thing. So
Mm-hmm.
now, because here you can see that first of all, we have a lot of application which are trying to write the data, update the data, or delete the data from your transactional systems. And
Yeah.
on top of that, you are creating additional jobs which are creating pre-calculated tables. So
Mm-hmm.
these pre-calculated tables are going to take up a lot of computations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it is
Mm-hmm.
going to take up a lot of compute, and you need additional storage in the
Right.
same database.
Mm.
So additional. Okay. So there were a lot of challenges because your system, let us say if your data is being processing, is under process,
Mm.
then your pre-aggregated tables are being prepared. Then
Mm.
while this data is not ready, they cannot be used for reporting purposes. So let us
Mm.
say if there is a delay in the master data table data or any downstream system which is giving the data, or some
Mm.
application is down which is not able to send the updated data,
Mm.
because of which your this system could have been really delayed. And because we have everything in one place, and
Mm.
again, your reporting tool will not be able to take up anything unless your pre-aggregated tables are ready. So we had seen these situations where the everyday batch was getting delayed. Even SAP
Mm.
had the same thing. Okay. So they had the
Okay.
pre-aggregated tables in one place. But now,
Mm.
after some time, they came up with SAP HANA. So
Mm.
if you talk about just SAP, just in case if someone is interested, so in
Mm.
SAP HANA, they came up with they came up with something called as this is also anyhow cloud-based technology. So this
Mm.
is something um, we had a better database which can do calculations on the fly. Okay. So now
Right.
they told, okay, why do we need the pre-aggregated tables if we have a very strong in-memory database which can
Mm.
do the calculation on the fly? So now when they came up with the new technology terminology, they removed these pre-aggregated tables, and these pre-aggregated tables were done in the SAP HANA. Because anyhow, you do not need a specific system, a different system, and
Mm.
they can do it on the fly. So they never needed tables to actually persist their aggregated tables. So they are also removing the headache of doing the pre-aggregated tables, doing everything in one place, and they added some other system. They actually used the BW4 HANA to do their warehousing needs. Okay. So this
Mm.
is where the shift came from. So companies didn't want their actual databases to be compromised or to be used for a huge load. So that is why
Mm.
they unloaded the need to do reporting and to saving to another place as well. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah, got it. Vipul, just to
Yes,
add,
Praveen. Yeah.
my understanding is correct. What the person name who was talking earlier,
Your voice is very low.
the person name who was talking earlier,
Urav here.
Uro is there.
Urav, yeah, Urav. Hi.
Yeah.
So
Hi.
Urav, if I'm understanding correctly, what you are talking about is pre-aggregated data. So I believe that in cloud data warehouse, we call it as a staging area, and
Yes.
accessing of the other data warehouses directly without capturing their data actually in the memory. Is that correct, Vipul?
Yes, right.
Thank you.
His voice kept
Yeah, his
Uh,
voice
breaking.
is
He
not
didn't.
No,
clear,
we
but
should.
we'll
I mean,
get
we
clear.
will be discussing those concepts anyhow. But yeah, I
Okay.
am not also going in very depth because many of the participants are new here, so I do not want to confuse them.
Okay.
Yeah, so just in case to avoid any problem, because if I say some terminology they do not understand, then it will be a problem for them. So that is why
Okay.
I am trying to make them understand in a very layman language. Yep, thank you for that. But thank you. Yes, Adarsh. Okay, you have your hand raised up.
Yeah, Bipul. So, where does like DBT comes into play? Like, when is it
Uh,
like during the ETL process, or like once the data is ingested into the Snowflake environment, then we are using DBT to do the transformations and stuff?
Let us talk about the new system. So the data is coming from here. Okay. So let us say, so we have different technologies or we can have different setup. So right now, if we talk about this is your source database and you want to migrate the data of your source database into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So if we talk about the migration projects, if this is your source and Snowflake data warehouse is your target, then we have multiple ways to move data from one system that is your source DB into your Snowflake data warehouse. what companies are very much liking these days is that they are using the S3 buckets to store their data and then loading the data from S3 bucket into the Snowflake data warehouse. For those who are not aware of S3 buckets, so if you go to AWS, within AWS, we have a lot of services available. So S3 is one of these services in which you can store your data. This is just like your folder structure, which is available in the cloud. You can place your files. There is no restriction of how much data you can store and no limitation on the type of file which you want to store. So you can store as many number of files and as whatever data type, I mean any extension of the file. It could be a photo, it could be a documentation, it could be a CSV, XML, and so on. So once what companies are doing is that they are actually extracting the data from their source database and placing that extract in terms of a file. Let us say they are generating a file, ABC file, abc.csv. Every day they will be generating this file, and this file will be loaded into the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So this, what I have seen, is the most prominent use case which companies are doing. Although there are a lot of ways to load data into Snowflake data warehouse, we can also use an ETL tool. Okay. So, I mean, some company can also migrate the data from a source database into the Snowflake data warehouse using an ETL tool as well. We have a lot of ETL tools. If we talk about SAP, we have SAP Data Services. If we talk about another open source system, we have Informatica, we have Matillion, and we can use a lot of ETL. So a company can either go this way or this way. So if a company is going this way, that first of all, they are having their source database and then they are extracting the files into the S3 bucket. And finally, they are loading the data into your Snowflake data warehouse. So now the problem with this scenario, I mean, this is easy way to follow, but here what you can see is that your source database is being copied into a file, and that file is loaded into the Snowflake database. Over here you can see that there is a very less chances that your data has been transformed, because anyhow, if you have put just a simple copy paste and you provided the Excel file to the S3 bucket, and again, Snowflake Data Warehouse does not has that much of a complicated transformation method is provided while loading the data from Snow S3 bucket. So your data will be almost similar to your source database in your Snowflake data warehouse. Now, what you can do if you want to do some transformation on top of data which has been loaded already in your Snowflake data warehouse, for this purpose, we use dbt. So what is the great thing about dbt is that it is very easily integrable with your Snowflake data warehouse or any cloud-based technologies, and we can do both the technologies are also cloud-based. Okay. So dbt, what dbt will do? So let us say if I have some table data employee and I extracted that employee table and put that extract into the S3 bucket. Now I can consume that S3 bucket file into the Snowflake data warehouse table. Let us say I also include into something called as what one of the person was saying, employee underscore staging. So staging will have similar data, right? So there will be no transformation between the employee staging over here and employee table over here. Now it is where the dbt comes into picture. So dbt will be used to do the transformation on top of data which is already in your Snowflake data warehouse. So you can transform the employee staging table and then finally you can produce the employee table which has been generated as a target of your dbt. Okay. So this is what it is called. So that is why we have two terminologies. One is ETL. So this we have to understand as well. And one is ELT. Okay. So in ETL, what we are doing, we are extracting the data, we are transforming the data, and then we are loading the transformed data that is being transformed and that is ready to be consumed in the proper format. And then we are doing the transformation and finally loading it into the target system. Okay, this is the above part. Okay, this is your ETL. But then if you talk about ELT, first of all, you extract the data, and then first of all you load it, and after loading you do the transformation. Okay, so this is the two use cases we have. So many companies are going with this ELT technology, say, so they do not want to go with a separate ELT tool. They first of all want to load the data in Snowflake data warehouse and then do the transformation on top of it. The advantage of using ELT is that first of all your DBT and Snowflake Data Warehouse both are your open source system, I mean cloud-based system. And then because now see the storage has become very cheap and computation of Snowflake Data Warehouse is very good. So it makes a lot of sense to use the Snowflake Data Warehouse computation and storage capabilities rather than using a separate ETL tool. Okay, so these are the two branches we have. So this is how where DBT fits in. And if you want to know where Snowflake Data Warehouse and AWS fit in, so your Snowflake Data Warehouse sits on some cloud provider. Okay. So we will see when we will create the Snowflake Data Warehouse account. So one thing which I want to mention over here that for the practices purposes or during the session purposes, we will be creating a free trial account of Snowflake Data Warehouse. It will be applicable for 30 days. So if you want to extend it, you can extend it. But if you want to use it for free purposes again, you can register again with a different email ID. Okay. And then we have different editions. I mean, we will discuss all that details in the next lecture. So we have different editions, but again, if you are aware of different editions, we will be using the business critical, which has the maximum features available to us as a part of the free trial account. Okay. So whenever we create the Snowflake data warehouse, we have to choose some things, and one of them is which cloud provider you want to use. So Snowflake data warehouse is not telling you that you should use AWS or you should use GCP or you should use Azure. You can use any of the cloud provider which is available to you as per your choice. And then this is where your Snowflake data warehouse and AWS come into the picture. So your Snowflake data warehouse uses all these different concepts, the hardware which is available, the networking which is available, everything is available from one of the cloud provider. So what we can do, we can provision the AWS hardware, and then your Snowflake data warehouse will be hosted on that AWS machine. And this is how your AWS, dbt, and your Snowflake data warehouse sit together. Okay. Any questions till now? Are you getting the feel of what we are getting into? And how the different. So this is your ETL. So the above one, I will make it of a different color. Okay. So this is your ETL and this will be your ELT.
What is
Okay.
ELT actually?
Sorry.
What is ELT?
ELT is actually, first of all, you are extracting the data from a system, right? First of
Can
all,
you
you
give me,
extracted.
no, I understood that terminology wise, I am very much
Mhm.
clear. ELT and can you give me the real time example, right? Where exactly?
Uh,
Which scenario you are using this?
Over here. So first of all, this is your source system. I
Okay.
have extracted the data and I have placed the file in the S3 bucket. This is your extract step. Okay. Then you have loaded this file into your Snowflake data warehouse. This is your load step. And once your data has been loaded into the Snowflake data warehouse, then you are doing the transformation on top of that data. So your transformation, your last step. So once your data has been loaded into Snowflake data warehouse, you are then transforming that data using dbt, or I mean, we can also use another tool, but we let us focus on dbt. So this dbt will be actually doing the transformation on top of your data, which has already been loaded in your Snowflake data warehouse. So we are doing transformation as the last step. Whereas in the ETL, we used to first of all do the transformation and then used to load the transformed data into our target system. So
Okay.
this is your ETL.
Can you give me some business case, right? Where exactly I need to go for ETL, where we need to go for the ELT?
So the main thing what we have, I mean, it depends from business to business whether they want to go with ELT or ETL. So your above picture is your ETL and this is your ELT. So previously, so why companies actually went with the ETL? Because at that time, this ETL terminologies came like 10 years back or 12 years back. You might have seen a lot of tools over there. So this is an entirely different tool and it will have its own storage capabilities. So in the very beginning, what companies realized that if I want to migrate one data from, let us say, from my legacy system into the data warehouse, Then at that time the storage was was not very cheap, okay, and the computational power was also very expensive. So that is why companies were trying to find out different ways to reduce the load on their legacy systems. They said, okay, what we can do is that we can send the analytical data to a different system, that which we have already discussed, to avoid creation of the intermediate tables. So that is why they also use external ETL tools so that they can unload the calculations to a different application layer altogether. So first of all, they used to extract the data from their source system, and then they used to load the data into the ETL tool, and then they used to do the transformation. Then all the intermediate results used to be stored in your ETL tool. Okay, so all these calculations, all the intermediate intermediate tables, all the joint concepts, all the union, whatever concepts you want to apply on your tables, everything was done in your ETL, because the storage was not very scalable. I mean, at that time we didn't had a scalable architecture. So if you have designed your legacy system with, let us say, 10 TB, then it was very difficult to increase your storage from 10 TB to, let us say, 15 TB. So that is why they were having different chunks of systems which were doing their specialized functionalities. So that is why they said that, okay, I do not want to save this space. I cannot scale up, scale down so easily. So what I will do, I will save my intermediate tables, or I will do the calculation in some other tool, and then I will load that data into some other system. So what they were doing is that they were trying to create different segregation of system and different segregation of data, so that it was very easier for them to manage the data and manipulate the data. Okay, but now as we have seen that the storage capabilities is very good for Snowflake data warehouse, and the scalability is very good within the Snowflake data warehouse, so it makes a little sense to use an external system for additional storage and computational powers. So this is why the companies are going this way. But still, if your company already is using some ETL tool, let us say if your company has already invested in your ETL tool, and let us say they are migrating to Snowflake data warehouse, then they can have a decision to reuse the same ETL tool to move the data from one system to another system. But if the company is new, they would, I mean, they would think a little bit before investing in some other tool, because if they are coming up with an additional ETL tool, then they will need a resources. They will need additional resources. They will have to create more connections. A new security team will have to create this landscape environment. So it is a lot of headache for them. Okay. So if there is already an ETL tool which they have invested in, then it is fine. But if they are migrating to Snowflake data warehouse, then they will say that I do not want to invest in any other tool. So just migrate the data using this way, and then we can use dbt to migrate the data from, so that I can use the computational power and the scalability which is available within the Snowflake data warehouse itself, instead of dedicating this task to any other tool. That is why dbt is very good thing. Dbt is also a cloud based tool, so it works with almost a very, if I show you the if just in case if you want to know the full form of dbt, so this is a data build tool. Okay, so if I show you the website of data build tool, this tool is very good uh, because it is very easily integratable with the cloud data warehousing
It is a
solution. This is free, of course. Yeah, this is also free. So if you go here, so let us see if this is the website. No, I think I need to go to some other website. DBT. Yeah, get DBT.
So because there are like two
Yes.
types of DB, right? There are like CLI version and there's a SaaS version.
Mhm.
So
For this
so
one, for
what
Snowflake
like
Data Warehouse.
no for the DBT one.
Okay,
So there are like two versions of it. Like one is CLI, and the other one is the cloud-based one.
cloud-based. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the
So which
cloud-based
one
one,
would
cloud-based one.
be okay.
In Snowflake Data Warehouse, once you have created the Snowflake Data Warehouse, there are a lot of ways. Let us say if you are a client and you want to access your Snowflake Data Warehouse account. So let us say if you have provisioned your Snowflake Data Warehouse account and you are using a browser, so there are two different ways to connect to your Snowflake Data Warehouse. One is through your browser, and we have something called as NoSQL as well. So this is also, we have two ways to to interact with Snowflake Data Warehouse again. So SnowSQL is your CLI only. Okay. So again in Snowflake Data Warehouse, but we will be focusing majorly on this one. We will see how we can actually connect to SnowSQL and how we can download it and use it. So again, over here, we also have two options. Okay. Just in case if you want to know. So we have two ways to, these are just two ways to actually interact with your Snowflake Data Warehouse account, to connect to your Snowflake Data Warehouse and do your manipulation, create your tables, create your do your administration task and so on. So again, we will see both of these methods. There are a lot of ways to connect to your Software Data Warehouse. We can also use some ODBC, JDBC connector. If you are connecting to another database, you can also develop your apps on the Snowflake Data Warehouse. Again, you can connect to your Microsoft Visual Studio with Snowflake Data Warehouse to publish the data. And again, you will also need some CI/CD tools. There are a lot of CI/CD tools, and then again, CI/CD tools will be required to migrate the data from Snowflake Data Warehouse one account into another account. So here, what you can understand in terms of CI/CD, that first of all, here because you are migrating the data from your source systems into the Snowflake Data Warehouse, then because this will not be applicable because we have different systems, right? We have a development system, we have the quality systems, or the user acceptance system, or the prod system. We will not be doing everything in production systems, right? So first of all, we have to check the CTL. If just in case if you are going with ETL, then you have to check this flow or this flow. And then once you are okay with all the deployments, once you are ready with the deployment artifacts, then you need to move your system from, let us say, from development to quality, and then from quality to production. And this is where your CI/CD tool will be helpful to you as well. Okay.
Which
I mean, just wanted to
CI/CD?
give you a concept now.
Which
CI/CD is continuous integration and continuous delivery.
no
This is
no.
an automation way to to automate the movement of your codes or movement of your database artifacts from one system to another system. Okay. So
Also,
we have,
CLI, can you tell the
okay,
full form?
CLI is command line interface. This is just like that. Once you go
Okay.
over here, this is your
Query.
CLI,
Okay.
where you can just write different queries. And from here, this is just a black screen. This is not going
Okay.
to be very nice option for many people because you cannot see any visual tool. So it is not at all visually appalling. Okay.
So people
Uh,
in real time, how we are doing this? We are not using the web interface, right?
No, we are using the web interface. I mean, this depends on what type of user you want to create. Again, you do not want to give access to all the users to the browser-based tool, right? Because not all people want that full-blown experience. If you think that there is an admin tool of it, if a person is not requiring and is just creating user, is assigning privileges, or is just doing the admin task, or if someone is monitoring something, and then it makes less sense to give them the browser based tool. And because if they can anyhow do their task using the CLI commands, but in terms of power, you can do the similar capabilities in both the places. Okay, in terms of capabilities, there is no difference. It is just like the way of accessing that is which causes the difference.
Okay.
Okay.
So Vipul, one question, right? Like
Yes, Vivek.
in any project, right? We have a three different environment mostly,
Right.
dev, test, and
They're
prod,
quite.
right?
Yeah.
So like as a company will purchase one account, right? For
Yes.
Snowflake.
It depends.
How they will distinguish that this is dev?
It Yeah, that is a very good question. It depends on your organization. So, what we have in Snowflake Data Warehouse concepts, I mean, it is related to cloud concepts. So let us say you have an organization. Okay. So this organization, what they can do, one option they can do is that they can provision different Snowflake Data Warehouse accounts. So they will have account one, and then they will have different Snowflake Data Warehouse accounts. So here we are talking about different Snowflake Data Warehouse accounts altogether. Okay. So this account, this account, and this account. So they will be managing these three Snowflake Data Warehouse accounts. And then what they will do, one second. So an organization level, they will be managing all these three accounts. Okay. So if so maybe you can understand at this point or not. So each account is actually your Snowflake Data Warehouse account altogether. Okay. So these are different accounts. So what they can do, they can say that this is your development system. This is your UAT system, and this is your prod system. So now what we can do, first of all, we will develop everything over here. And then what we will do, once everything has been moved, then we can have the CI/CD tools to migrate the artifacts from dev to UAT system. Okay, this is one option. And then once everything has been developed over here, then we are good to go to move the data from UAT to prod. This is one option. Okay. And then if your company do not want to invest in three different accounts, then if they want to use only one Snowflake data warehouse account, then we can create different databases. Okay. Within a same data warehouse, Snowflake data warehouse, we will say, okay, we have a database underscore dev, we have database underscore UAT, and we have database underscore prod. So this way we can also go if your company wants to go this way. Okay. So now here you can see that each environment is a specific database, and this way we can move the data from one database to another database if you want to migrate. Over here, we will not need any additional CI/CD tool, because anyhow everything is in one place. Okay. But if you are having this architecture where your company is having a very good budget and they are having different Snowflake data warehouse accounts, for that you will need to move the data or the artifacts from one system to another system, because it is possible that this could be on different cloud providers, or this could be on in different regions, which we will understand later on. But this provides more security and more scalability, whereas over here, although the customer is saving a lot of money and everything is in one place, over here security could be a little bit of problem. So this way the companies can do this, but over here CI/CD is not required. Anyhow, here you can see that because all the systems are in, all the environments are in same system. Is it making sense?
Yeah.
So
Can I
to say that
add something
you are
here?
saying that we need to pay for three accounts, huh?
Exactly.
From one account to account three.
Exactly. So over here we have to pay for three accounts. Over here we have only one account.
Because second option nobody will go, right? Second option is not correct, right? Because if something is down, right, then every fraud also down.
Exactly. Your entire, all your environments are gone.
Sorry?
All your environments are gone if something goes wrong.
Yeah, that's why.
Yes. So I mean, this is just an option which Snowflake Data Warehouse is giving.
Yep. Vipul, can I add something over here?
Sure.
So once you start working on this Snowflake and DevOps space, although you have available the web interface, but slowly you will, get hands-on on the CLI. You will eventually like the CLI. I started working around 2 years back. I was, very scared about this CLI,
I know.
and then slowly, once now I am very, very rarely go to web interface, and I solely work on the, command line interface. This is my experience. I'm telling you.
I mean, the programmers will really like this CLI because they like typing commands and so on. But if this person is coming from a very functional background, they used to do the UI tools, then those people are going to like
Yeah,
this.
you are absolutely correct, Vipul. What I'm saying is, I am also coming from a functional background. Earlier, I was working as a Scrum Master. Then I shifted myself into technical space. What I'm saying, over the period of time,
You will
after
start
1 or
liking it.
2 years. Yes. That's it. Yeah.
I agree. Because that is less hassle, right? Okay. Yeah, that is good. Thank you so much. Yes, Ganpati.
Vipul, actually, I have one question. Usually, which CI/CD tool will be used in the organizations? Like
We can
Jenkins or Azure DevOps, or which one?
just a second. Just a second. There is someone on the door. Give me a minute. Huh? I'll be back. Sorry. Please be there. Please be there. You can send the message in the chat just in case. Okay.
Previously, we are using Jenkins, right? Now we are using the Azure pipeline.
Yes, I'm back. Okay, there are a lot of questions. May I know the course details? Kala, you can refer to the YouTube videos we have. So yesterday we discussed about the entire depth of the course we are going to discuss. So please feel free to watch that video and let me know if you still have any questions. I can also share the brochure later on. I do not have it right now. Hi, Ganpati. What to know what exactly the use of DBT? Okay, I'll tell you. Okay, before that, if someone has any other question, we were discussing something about CI/CD, right? So in the organization, okay, am I audible? I just
Yes.
want to make sure. Okay. So we are actually using something called as GitHub Actions, and there is something also, I don't remember its name, but mainly, yes, we can, I mean, similarly, you have Maven, I guess. So these, sorry, not Maven. We have Jenkins. Okay. So we have Jenkins, and you can use
We
GitHub
have
Actions. Both are
Jenkins,
like
we have
similar
Docker,
options. Sorry. Yes,
Docker
Praveen.
also.
Yes,
Docker.
Docker also. Docker is also there. I mean, there are a lot of tools, but based on your companies, you can use the GitHub Actions. You can, I mean, if you see here, then Jenkins is very visually appealing and very easy to use tool as compared to your GitHub Actions. Again, Docker is also a good option. So it is based on your company and based on the budgeting of your company, based on the experience of a company, based on the skill set of a company, they can decide any one of the tool. Okay. So again, others will have to follow it because introspection is also very good. We have something called a schema change. We also use something called a schema change. So you can explore about it if you want to know. This schema change, we are using schema change in combination to GitHub Actions to move our code. So this is what we are having. So schema change actually tells us what is the change in the schema. So it will capture the changes, and then all those changes are then pushed using the GitHub Actions to your another environment. Okay. So I don't want to go into very much detail because this is just a discussion of the overview. Okay, so that others will keep leaving this call. Okay. Okay. So I guess that is it from my side. If anyone has any questions, please do let me know.
Vipul, this
Yes,
is
Vivek.
the Snowflake, right? Is our target database, right? Once you
Right,
bring the
right, right,
data
right.
and load it,
This
right?
one. Right.
So now my application is using this Snowflake, right?
Exactly.
So how we are connecting the secure connection?
We have a lot of security within the Snowflake data warehouse because see, some of the security has been provided by Snowflake data warehouse. On top of that, if you consider this to be your Snowflake data warehouse, we have a lot of security which can be implemented within the Snowflake data warehouse. We have something called as roles. So based on roles, the person will have certain rights to do something. And within that, we can also do the data masking to make sure that our data is secure. So we have different methods. So we will discuss it under multiple sections. And
That
one
I
more thing is that,
understood. No, my
uh,
question is something
okay,
different, right?
okay,
See, in my company, I have multiple users, right?
okay, right,
And we are using the proxy, right?
right.
So how to implement the secure connection? I don't want to share any user ID password to anybody.
Oh, for that, what you can do is that you, in your company already, there must be some identity provider.
Okay.
Okay, so that IDP you can integrate with your with the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay, so all the set of users, what you can do, all the set of users which were available within your previous organization, you can link that IDP, which will have, which is, I mean, for integration with your Snowflake data warehouse, you need that IDP to be SAML 2.0 compliant. You can use Okta or Microsoft 8, I mean, ADFS or anything. Then you can use this, the SAML assertion which are generated by these IDP tools to log in into your software data warehouse. We have SAML IDP. We also have two-factor multi-factor authentication. So while you are logging in, the PIN will also be generated on your phone to make sure that you are the actual person. Then using your SAML 2.0, we can also send SAML assertions. As a part of SAML assertions, we can also tell which role you want to link to that person to. So if you say there is a person, let us say ABC. So the first of all, this person will log in into this IDP instead of your Snowflake data warehouse. Then this IDP will generate the SAML assertions, and these SAML assertion will then go to Snowflake data warehouse and will tell that, okay, this is a person ABC and he has this role, let us say role A. And based on that, you will be redirected to the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So this is how you can use the IDP to do the secure connectivity towards the Snowflake data warehouse. We also have something called as authorization, which we will also see on the top. So this IDP, so this is where two terminologies come into. We have authorization and we have authentication. Oh, spellings are wrong. Authorize. One second. authorization. And similarly, we have something called as authentication. Okay. So authentication is actually done by your identity provider, which says whether the person who is trying to log in is correct or not. And then within that, you have authorization, which makes sure whether the person who has logged in successfully is provided with the right roles or not. And on top of that, once the roles are provided, based on the roles, you can do data masking to make sure that the person who has logged in with a specific role, whether he or she can access the specific table, view, or database artifact or not. Okay, these are the three layers we have. So we can have, on top of that, there are a lot of secure features which are available within this Snowflake data warehouse that we will be going to see at the part of this course. But this is a very high level view of 3-level security or 4-level security we have. Thank you so much. Okay, I guess that is it for today. It was very nice discussions we had. So probably on Monday, we will discuss about the data warehousing concept and we will move forward with the cloud concepts and so on. And then we will start with the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay.